What's up everybody, it's your boy The Hunter Fisher. Welcome back to the Epi Banger video. And today, guys and girls, it is Tackle Thursday. So this is day 4 of dailies. So sometimes I choose to stay inside, talk about some tackle or gear that I like to talk about so that I can inform you guys of what are my tackle buying habits. What do I do whenever I look at tackle? Sorry, I'm blowing up something I wanted to write down so I could talk to you about it for you guys. What today, guys, is going to be the Curado DC in 2022. Is this $250, $260 reel? Maybe even more after taxes. Is this reel worth it to you here in 2022? And that's what I'm going to answer today. I've had this reel for about 2 years now. When I first got this reel, I got the money for it to actually buy it for my 21st birthday. I'm now about to turn 23. I'm getting old. Don't tell me it. I know. I feel very self-conscious about it, and I don't think I want to talk about it any longer. But the whole point is I've had this reel for about 2 years. So I want to say that I've definitely had enough time with this reel spent to actually give you what is my honest opinion on this reel, and do I think that you as a consumer still should buy this in 2022. This is a $250 reel when I bought it. It's actually $10 more expensive I think now. So do I think that this reel, this triple digit reel, is this reel worth it in 2022? And I'm going to tell you the answer at the end of this video. I believe that when I first got this reel, I got it with the Dobyns Fury 734C, which, I mean, if you guys want to hear a video of why I pair certain rods with pair certain reels, I can tell you, but I pair the Dobyns Fury 734C, it's in my closet right now, with this reel to actually do as many all-purpose things as I could. That means throwing weightless flukes, that means throwing speed worms, that means throwing Texas rigs of all kinds, lipless crankbaits, whopper plopper. I think I've even thrown a frog on it one time. There's just so many different things that you can do with that combo that really cover your bases for bass fishing. So that's the reason why I originally got it, and I was bass fishing a ton. I was originally on the FSU bass fishing team, so I really wanted a reel that would help me enjoy fishing more. It would help me have more time spent on the water fishing instead of, picking up backlash. That's why I do BFS now. Yeah, pick out backlash constantly. Point is, I actually use this reel even in saltwater. So I got it originally for bass fishing, but then I even started to find out that near me, there's some great inshore fisheries that you can access by the bank. And you can go fish for redfish, trout, and flounder, and more, black drum, everything with a reel like this. So I was throwing 1/4 ounce jig heads for paddle tails, things like that. And I have 30-pound braid on here. That's a little heavy for saltwater, but the point is, I even use this in saltwater. This is a great reel for wanting to get a reel that can also handle redfish, trout, and flounder. If you're anything like me, you live in Florida, so there is probably saltwater within driving distance of you that you can go access. I'm originally from Jacksonville. I could see myself still using this reel in saltwater. I could see myself maybe even doing some beach casting if I'm brave enough out in Jacksonville. But the point is, I've used it in saltwater and it's withheld that test even too. So now that I've had this reel for 2 years, I've used it in everything from freshwater to saltwater. I've used it in the Lake of Okeechobee. I've used it in the salt flats of the Gulf of Mexico. And I can tell you, this reel has stood up to all of it. I mean, this reel looks almost as good as I bought it. But that's also because I did the maintenance myself. So the number one thing about any reel that you get in the future is you've got to understand that these reels aren't a buy it and forget it type reel. I would say that this reel is probably the closest to a buy it and forget it reel that you buy, but the point is that the more you take care of your gear, the longer it lasts. That goes for any reel. It doesn't matter if it's a $250 to $260 Curado DC, or if it's an $800 Antares DC, or even if it's a $60 Black Max. The whole point is the more you take care of your reels, the longer they will last, and the better performance that you will get out of them. With this reel, I've taken it apart, I've re-greased it, re-lubed it, re-oiled it. I've done everything. I've cleaned out the pinion gears where you have the clutch engage. Sounds crispy, right? If I had not cleaned that out, it would sound crunchy. It would sound bad. And I've even cleaned out the gears on this to make sure it stays nice, because there's tons of different factors and features in this reel that help you prolong the life of this reel. But even if you go inside and clean it, it makes it live a little bit longer. Whenever I clean the micro module gearing, which the micro module gearing I'll explain later, but the whole point of micro module gearing is to allow you to go longer between cleanings. But I still clean this reel because I want to take care of it and make sure this lasts as long as I can. Heck, maybe even I might pass this reel down to my kids one day. And I'll go into why I think that this is possible with this reel later on. What I'm going to talk to you guys about is understanding the reel. When you understand the Curado DC, is what you got to understand is the Curado DC. The DC itself, if you guys have known anything about the Curado DC, you're watching this video because you heard John B or one of the Googans fishing with a weird reel that went see beep. Yeah, that reel is this reel. So this is the reel that sings. This reel makes a bunch of noise, and that itself is the DC. That is the contact of the spool against the side plate that creates the energy to maintain a good braking system. So what the DC system is it's the digital control module, where essentially the contact of the spool against the side plate allows it to do calculations to prevent overrunning of the spool. So this essentially allows it to slow down the spool appropriately so that you can get the best casting distance and the most efficiency out of this reel as possible. Do I think this works? 100%. It's a great braking system. If you guys have heard anybody ever talk about this reel besides me, if you're watching this video, you've probably watched 3 other videos about this reel. But the whole point of this reel is that this reel has been awesome in its braking system, and there's also a proper way to set up so that this braking system is worth it for you later on, and I'm going to knock that out right now. There is a particular way you need to set this up, so before you buy this reel, I'm going to save you the headache and make sure that you buy this reel and know how to set it up first. First thing that they tell you out of the box to do with the Curado DC is to take the spool. You guys can hear that knocking? That knocking you want to prevent. So what you do is you tighten your spool tension to where that knocking goes away. I over tightened it there. I tighten it to where there is a little, I can feel just the slightest give in the spool. That's a little bit too much. So right there is about where I like it. So it's just a slight give in the spool. You can feel it moving, but it's still tight enough to maintain contact with the side plate. So after you've set that up, you set the brakes to how your line setup is, or if you want to set it to extra windy or whatever. So most reels have you set up your brakes however you need to in the situation for your lure, wind, all those different factors, but this reel is meant to do it for you. So there's 4 brakes. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 is meant for if you're crazy and a madman and you think you can break this reel yourself, which you can't. You're crazy if you can. I applaud you. But the whole point is the 1 is meant for more of that flipping setting where you want to do the braking all yourself individually and manually. 2 is for your braid and monofilament settings. So I have braid on here. This is 30-pound braid. I have it set to 2 for that reason. 3 is for your fluorocarbon. So if you have fluorocarbon on here, you set it to 3. And if you are skipping or you are a beginner at bait casters in general, set it to 4. You're not going to get a lot of distance at all, but if you set it to 4, it's going to essentially maintain it for you. Now this is the IDC4 system. So this is a quick nerdy moment. The IDC4 itself has only 4 braking modes, my bad. The IDC5 actually has a intelligent automatic braking module. So it has a 5th mode where it does all that stuff for you no matter what you set it to. So you can set it and forget it. Whole point is this reel, you've got to set it to how your line is. You got to set the spool tension up to where it's allowing you to do the best possible, and that way you can get the most distance you can out of this reel. I have this thing set on 2, and on a 3/8 ounce swim jig, I think I could spool this whole reel. So that's a pretty crazy part about this reel. I believe that's everything for setting up this reel. It's as easy as that. Set the spool tension, set your brake knob to however setup you want for your line, or if you're a complete beginner. This is a great reel if you're a beginner. You're never going to need another reel again, but this is a great reel to actually teach you how to use a bait caster the best way possible. But now we're gonna get into really why is this reel worth it in 2022? This is the year of a lot of reels coming out. I mean, iCast, you saw crazy different reels coming out. The Curado 200 DC came out, and why is a Curado DC still worth it in 2022 with reels like the Daiwa Tatsuli Elite? You have the Revo SX, you have Lose reels that are very nice, you have different Daiwa reels besides the Tatsuli Elite that are awesome too. Why is this reel still worth it? To answer that question is the versatility of this reel. All those other reels, they don't have braking systems that do all be all. This reel itself allows you to do absolutely everything that you can with this reel. If you wanted to take all this braid off and put on some 12-pound fluorocarbon and you wanted to go crank some ledges out on Lake Tahlequah, you can 100% do that. If you wanted to keep the 30-pound braid on, tie on a leader, go throw a spinnerbait out in clear water and just slow roll it, you could do that with this reel. If you even wanted to use this reel for jerk baits, break it down to 12-pound fluorocarbon again and jerk on a ledge, you can do that with this reel. The whole point of this reel is versatility. Because of how many different ways you can set this reel up to at least help you become a better angler. This is essentially enabling you to fish however you want with just one reel. But obviously there's different gear ratios. You can get slower, you can get faster. I preferably always stay in the 7s range because you can always speed up. I mean, my bad. You can always slow down, but you can't always speed up. The whole aspect of that is you can only reel so fast, but you can slow down as much as you want to a solid stop. Whole point is I think that 7's best gear ratio for me. I don't touch it. I set it and forget it. And I get one reel and I keep it basic. Another thing, the reason why I think that this reel is going to be the best for that $260 price tag is the durability. I want to say that at least that this reel is an absolute tank of a reel. I have thrown it, I've used it in rocks, I've used it in salt water, I've used it absolutely everywhere, and I think that I could use this reel in the Everglades. I think I could go to even Malaysia and go try to catch snakehead on this reel if I put on some 65-pound braid. Point is that this reel, I absolutely believe it can do almost everything that you can for fishing wise. I think that this reel is going to cover so many different bases, from light saltwater fishing to heavier saltwater fishing, like throwing 1-ounce jig heads on this reel. I think is absolutely possible. I think this reel is going to put up to any saltwater conditions. I think this reel is going to put up especially to any freshwater conditions. You could probably go drag a jig in the Great Lakes and then fly down to the bottom of Florida and try to go catch, I don't know, a snook on this reel. You could go do so many different things with this reel that I believe it is so capable of because of how durable it is and how it absolutely just works everywhere. This reel, there's some other reels I'm going to talk about later on that kind of try to catch up with this reel, but I think that this reel right here, for the fact of its durability, allows you to go anywhere, do anything. And another fact of that is that it's efficient. So that digital control module I was talking about earlier, it actually allows you to make more use of your time in the water. So you're spending less time picking out backlash and overruns in your reel than you're actually fishing. So with this reel, it cuts out 90% of your backlashes, or at least it tries to. If you backlash a DC reel constantly, there's one, something wrong with your thumb, or two, something wrong with how you set it up. So the efficiency is another factor of why is this reel worth it? Now, any DC reel is efficient in my opinion, because instead of you having to spend time out on the water figuring out how to find that perfect break setting, yeah, with time you can get better, but if you're a beginner who's looking at their first baitcaster and you're considering a reel like the Curado DC, you're going to see that this reel is going to be much more efficient for you versus a Black Max, versus, I don't know, Lose SP Classic, things like that. Whole point is, I think that you're going to have a whole lot easier experience using this reel to do and make the most time out on the water is valuable, because you can use anything, you can throw anything, you can use it in all conditions, and you're still going to enjoy this reel. There's also other reels in the industry that you can consider, like the SLX DC. The SLX DC is essentially $190, I think, still. I don't remember. I haven't checked in a while because I haven't bought a reel in a while. But the whole point is that there's other options out there that are more expensive, more cheaper. Probably if you're watching this video, you're kind of trying to dub it down to, do I get the SLX DC or do I get the Curado DC? And honestly, I would probably still pick the Curado DC. There's a couple reasons why. So number one, the feature of the Curado series is the micro module gearing. The micro module gearing itself is essentially where on the gears, the teeth are now smaller and they have less play between the gears. That, say if you're fishing in saltwater like me, you're going to have a lot less dirt and debris getting in there because there's less room for it to get in there, and it's more durable over time so that your micro modular gears don't crap out on you. They're not brass like the SLX DC, so they last a little bit longer in my opinion. And another factor of this reel that makes it a little bit better than the SLX DC is the fact that this reel is also smoother and lighter in my opinion. It might not be lighter than the SLX DC, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but point is that this reel feels smoother. So as far as reels go, the reason why it's smoother is because of the micro module gearing. And over time, if that micro module gearing prevents dirt and debris getting in there, so your SLX DC is going to feel a lot crunchier, a lot faster than the Curado DC will. You're gonna experience a lot more grinding, things like that, much quicker than you will with the Curado DC. Both reels are smooth out of the box, but this reel is literally inexplicably smoother because of how it's made. It is made to be a smoother reel. So if you're considering Curado DC, is it worth the extra $60 to $70 to buy this reel? If you can find it on sale, congrats to you, because that's definitely worth it. Point is this reel worth it to get over the SLX DC? And I would say yes, I would still buy this reel over the SLX DC simply for the fact that it's more durable and it will last a little bit longer because of the micro module gearing. You pick up both these reels and you will not be able to deny the fact that this reel feels a lot nicer in hand. It looks a lot nicer, I can tell you that, and it's also just a little bit tougher. So that's essentially why I would pick this reel over the SLX DC, and overall, I still think that this reel is worth it in 2022. If you're wanting to spend $260 on a bait caster, this reel is probably the bait caster you would want to try. This one or the Tattoo Elite. Tattoo Elite's a really great reel, but it does not have a DC braking module. Shimano is the only company with the DC module braking system, and you're not going to find something that can even duplicate it. So the whole point of what this video was is for me to give you my honest opinion after 2 years. Do I still think that this reel was worth it, or do I think this reel is worth buying today? I'm going to tell you, yeah, it's 100% worth it, especially the 150 size. It's perfect for bass fishing. You really don't need any bigger. I personally think you don't even need any bigger for redfish, flounder, and trout fishing. If you need any bigger, one, I want your spot because your fish are massive, or two, you might need to work on that drag capability a little bit. But the whole point of this reel is it's an investment. So at the end of the day, are you getting out of the water and are you hating the experience that your gear gives you? Are you hating essentially having to pick out backlashes all day because that bait caster you bought from Walmart was $40 and you can't figure out how to get that thing dialed in? Are you spending $150 on bait casters and still not getting the performance you expect out of them? This is what I would say is the step into the premium reels, and I absolutely think that if you're somebody who needs something a little bit better so that you enjoy your time a little bit more on the out on the water, I absolutely think that this is going to be a great reel for you. If you're somebody who's looking to get this as a present, they're going to love you forever, just saying, because they're gonna hear that singing sound, and they're gonna absolutely just, they're never gonna forget you because that's all they think about at the end of the day. Point is I think this reel is an investment. I think it's gonna make your time out on the water much more valuable because you're spending it more on about how are you fishing, enjoying the sport that is fishing, and less time messing with your gear that you paid for and you absolutely hate. So this reel is an investment and it's gonna make your time much more enjoyable out on the water. And I think that this is a great long-term investment too, because I think I'll be able to give this to my grandkids or kids one day. And I think that's crazy because I take care of my reels. Make sure you're cleaning your reels, make sure you take care of them. I might make a video on that one day, I don't know. I wanna say thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you press like and share down below. And also, if you guys want to go pick up the Curado DC, at least this year's model, I think this is 2017. If you want to go pick up the Curado DC, I'll leave a link down below, and any links that you press down below, at least if they're from Amazon, will support me, so I will be getting a cut at no extra cost to you. So if you're wanting to pick up this reel, go hit my link down below, pick one up, and it'll help me out because I'm unemployed right now. But also another thing is this is a great reel, and I absolutely think that I always recommend things that I never will lie about. It's one thing I always tell people over Instagram DMs is I'm never going to lie to you on what I support. So I try my best to know as much as I can to tell you the absolute truth about the products I like to use. If you're worried that I sound too much like a salesman or a gimmick, don't worry about that. Trust me, I'm being as honest as possible as I can. I'm also just a guy who talks properly, so I sound like a salesman. Point is, whenever you pick up anything, it helps me out and also helps you out at the end of the day. So I want to say thank you guys for watching the video, and guys, as usual, remember, fish fear me.